I have honestly had it with people trying to make me feel guilty for using AI at this point. So, I'm going to debunk all the shit that they've said to me and about me and all the demonizing and all the crap. Why are you guys not asking people to eat less beef rather than telling them to not use AI? You know, is it that you can't find it in yourself to stop eating less beef? Is it that you want to cling to this? That you can't find a way to will yourself into eating less of it, and so you're going to put it on me to stop using AI? Since AI models like ChatGPT and, basically data centers are nothing compared to cattle farming. Since AI models like ChatGPT and Claude have become the latest investment fad in Silicon Valley, outside observers have worried about the broader consequences. They consume tons of electricity and they're trained on trillions of original works without their author's consent. And if the most unhinged type guys are to be believed, they will create mass unemployment in every industry any day now. But for some reason, the water use of these products has become one of the most common criticisms. A slew of articles and videos argued the water consumption of all the data centers powering AI systems are a threat to the environment. It's true that data centers use some water, but there's a great deal of missing context. Even in highly water-stressed area, all data centers combined are a rounding error compared to the real water wasters, farmers, especially of livestock feed. You know, Here's the representative piece in the Washington Post. The author spoke with a research scientist who estimated how much water it takes to use GPT-4, accounting for both direct cooling and embedded water in the facilities. 100 word email generated by the program they figured would use up about 519 milliliters of water. The first problem here is that in much of the country, water is plentiful. To the first approximation, east of the 95th meridian, which passes roughly from the border between North Dakota and Minnesota down to the southern tip of Texas, there is usually enough rain to farm with just the natural precipitation. To be fair, there is some irrigated farming around the Mississippi and in southern Georgia and Florida. In the later region, as my colleague Gabrielle Gurley covered back in 2022, climate change has led to drought, and hence comes to some conflicts between farmers. But as I'll explain in a moment, because farming requires so much water, by and large, in the eastern half of the country, there is easily more than enough for cities and industries, so long as they can build proper purification and treatment facilities, of course. West of the 95th meridian, water is scarce, but here's where scale becomes important. A liter is not a good unit for getting your head around total water use. A better one in this country is the acre foot. This is a bizarre and old-fashioned unit, but it's simple to understand. 1 acre filled with 1 foot deep of water. It's handy if farmers who calculate their irrigation in terms of inches of water, just like rainfall is measured. Diverting just 10% of Nebraskan irrigation water would be enough for every single American to use ChatGPT about 24 times per day. For human scale stuff like showers or drinking or an acre foot is a lot of water. Do the math. 1 acre of foot comes to 1,233. Sorry, 1,233,481 liters. But for agriculture, one of these is barely nothing liters. Sorry, for agriculture, one of these is barely nothing. Pacific irrigation needs very tremendously based on local climate, soil conditions, elevation, and the type of irrigation system, and so on. But according to the USDA, on average, irrigated farms applied about 1.5 acre feet of water per acre as of 2017. There are 8.6 million irrigated acres across Nebraska alone, using the order of 12.9 million acre feet, or about 16 trillion liters of water per year. Particularly thirsty crops like rices, orange, almonds, and alfalfa use even more than average. This puts the post piece in some better context. They calculate that training Microsoft GPT required 70,000 liters of water, or just over half of 1 acre foot. If 10% of working Americans were to use GPT every week, that would require, 435,238,476 liters per year, or about 353 acre feet, or just about 0.003% of what Nebraskan farmers use. On the other end of the telescope, diverting just about 10% of Nebraskan irrigation water would be enough for every single American to use GBTE for about 24 times per day. Alfalfa and other livestock feed crops are particularly objectionable. California desert farmers of nuts, fruits, and vegetables argue that their tremendous water use is justifiable because they provide to supply these most important nutritious foods in the American refrigerators and pantries, and indeed much of the world. Despite being obviously biased, their argument does make some sense, but livestock feed is not eaten by humans. It's for cattle, pig, sheep, and so forth. That means most of the water used to grow the feed does not end up in food. Rather, it's consumed as the animal grows, metabolizes, breathes, excretes, and so on. To be fair, the Post piece admits this implicitly by noting GPT-3 used as much water as just under twice of what is required for the average American's beef consumption. In other words, just 2 people swearing off beef would more than compensate. By the same token, it's quite difficult to grow oranges in Pennsylvania. Livestock feed can be grown in most of the country. It's more economical to do so in the Southwest because of the utterly crack-brained legal regime governing most of America's water use, which is largely based on first in time, first in right. That is, whoever great grandfather set up their farm first gets dibs on the water, and to use it or lose it. In practical terms, this means agriculture water out west is preposterously underpriced. Now, it is possible for data centers to stress municipal water systems, particularly in the western cities where they are already strained. But this is downstream of the fact that it is legally very hard for cities to buy up water rights from farmers, which they could easily afford in any remotely sane world. Almost half of the irrigation water in the Colorado River Basin goes to cattle feed alone. A modest diversion of this industry would break up for more than enough water for the Southwest cities and data centers alike, for the rest of the country at least. In an average year, I eat not a single fucking ounce, not even a bit of beef. I don't like beef at all. I've never at any point even. I can tell by smell alone that I wouldn't be into it, so I don't eat it at all. And I never have, and I never will. So, for me, this would be the most simplistic thing to do. Maybe I have a taste for chicken, but I've never, ever, ever had a taste for beef. Maybe that makes me weird in the United States. I don't know. I don't care. So I've already more than done my share for the water crisis, So I've done my good. And I've got friends that are doing this now, that are saying this stuff, and so I felt that I had to defend myself at this point. I don't understand anymore. Like it's blame me, I'm the demon because I happen to use the new tech product. I guess land conservationism became all the rage, and some people on the left are like caught up in it. But no, it's the farmers that are the problem here, and look, I've been here before. It wasn't particularly popular to say this stuff, but fuck it, I don't care. Like this is not my fault for using ChatGPT. It's the farmers' fault for using such an inordinate amount of water that we're in a crisis. You want less of this kind of thing? Be more like me. Eat chicken instead of beef. Like, get it out of your fucking diets, man. Instead of stop using, and for all you people who want to use the shame route, to tell people to stop eating beef rather than, stop using AI, because that will really make the difference.